sucks. That's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bad. Everything on the line.
Gervonta is an animal for real. Jake is too domestic. Here's the thing, Mike Tyson's an animal too. He was just 60. He was just 60, but he messed around and he got a prime.
Gervonta Tank Davis is pushing himself to the absolute limit in training camp ahead of his monumental clash with Jake Paul. His preparation is ruthless, built around relentless sparring sessions, explosive pad drills, and grueling conditioning circuits that leave no room for weakness. Every day inside the gym reflects an obsession with perfection. Surrounded by world-class coaches and seasoned sparring partners, Tank's discipline and hunger are unmistakable. He isn't just training to win, he's training to make a statement, to remind the world that real boxing power, forged through years of blood, sweat, and mastery, will always outshine celebrity hype and internet stardom. Showbiz the adult didn't mince words. He argued that Jake Paul may have just made the most dangerous mistake of his career by calling out a prime Gervonta Davis, a fighter operating at the height of his power and precision. Showbiz pointed out that Tank has already dismantled taller, stronger opponents like Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, displaying not only devastating knockout power but also a remarkable ability to adapt mid-fight. He explained that Jake seems to believe he can follow the same formula that worked when he faced older, slower opponents, fighters like Nate Diaz or even legends like Mike Tyson, long past their physical peaks. But this time, things are different. Davis isn't an aging name chasing one last payday. He's an elite, active world champion with speed, accuracy, and killer instinct. According to Showbiz, Jake Paul has stepped into a realm far beyond YouTube spectacles, one where the difference between an entertainer dabbling in boxing and a lifelong master of the craft will be brutally exposed.
See if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at that, I'm sizing them up, I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at him. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia! He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him, I saw him. Oh, Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgardner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe, out of all the women to be the first one to do 3 minute, 12 rounds, it's Alicia Baumgardner. And I really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgardner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Baumgardner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgardner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
40. What 40 at?
Not everyone is convinced this matchup favors Davis. Some analysts believe Tank might have bitten off more than he can chew. They argue that Jake Paul's natural size, reach, and strength could play a crucial role once the bell rings. While Davis's speed, timing, and knockout power have dominated the lighter divisions, stepping up to face a naturally bigger man presents an entirely new challenge. Experts emphasize that weight classes exist for a reason, to ensure fair competition and safety. Crossing those lines can be dangerous, even for elite fighters. Davis's skills are world-class, but physics can't be ignored. Jake Paul's frame and raw power could test the very limits of what Tank's precision and aggression can overcome.
We want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro,
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
That weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205
That's what I'm saying. He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank going, it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. A 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound, 20, 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once. No. He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is gonna happen versus Jake and Tank.
During the press conference, observers were quick to notice Gervonta Davis's demeanor, calm, composed, and quietly confident. Unlike Jake Paul, who thrives on chaos, provocation, and attention, Tank carried himself with the calm assurance of a true champion. His confidence wasn't loud, it was grounded, the kind of self-belief born from years of climbing to the top the hard way. For Davis, this fight isn't about fame, clicks, or social media buzz. It's about legacy. Every look, every word he delivered carried purpose. While Jake entertained the cameras, Tank exuded professionalism. His composure reminded everyone that real champions don't need theatrics to shine, they let their preparation, discipline, and belief do the talking. The press conference made one thing crystal clear: Gervonta Davis is coming to fight, not perform.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, you know, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, you know, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that stuff came with Floyd Mayweather.
Veteran analyst Teddy Atlas drew an interesting parallel between this fight and Logan Paul's exhibition with Floyd Mayweather. He acknowledged that while Jake Paul will likely enjoy a size and reach advantage, the outcome will ultimately hinge on experience and ring IQ. Davis has spent years mastering his craft at the sport's highest level, developing instincts that can't be taught, only earned through time and trials. Unlike Logan's cautious, defensive approach against Mayweather, Jake will be facing a predator, a relentless fighter who senses weakness and pounces with surgical precision. Atlas believes Davis's timing and composure will completely neutralize Jake's physicality, proving once again that skill and experience outweigh brute force and popularity.
Want this, or I liked this when I heard it? No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bam! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loves Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right, anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget, and I'm not saying I like that either.
Analyst Luke Thomas offered a deeply reflective take on Davis's mindset this time around. While acknowledging Tank's explosive knockout power and ruthless finishing instincts, Thomas noted something new, a shift in demeanor. Davis appeared quieter, more introspective, more aware of the bigger picture. This wasn't fear, it was maturity. According to Thomas, this calm represents a fighter who understands the magnitude of the moment. This isn't just another payday or highlight reel knockout. It's a defense of boxing's integrity, a fight for legacy and respect. Thomas explained that such mental transformations often happen when athletes realize they're part of something larger than themselves. The real challenge here isn't just physical, it's psychological. Tank's greatest weapon might not be his fists, but his focus. If he channels this calm correctly, it could sharpen his precision to terrifying levels. But if the pressure of expectation gets too heavy, it could dull his rhythm. Either way, Thomas concluded, this mental evolution shows the world a more complete version of Gervonta Davis, a man who embodies boxing's balance of power, skill, and inner discipline.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, and he was clearly wasn't much. The Lamont Roach fight, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry-picked. I think Tank thought, I'll just fight another guy from, the Mid-Atlantic area who's, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and, you're left with that. So, you're making a point about, he's got this obligation. That's true. But he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, 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 and, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge, and, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then he, there's a draw in that fight.
The tension between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis captures the very essence of modern boxing, a sport caught between pure competition and entertainment spectacle. Their face-off wasn't just an exchange of words or aggression, it was a symbol of two worlds colliding. Jake Paul, the brash internet icon, represents the rise of fame-driven boxing, a fighter who built his career on charisma, controversy, and brute strength. Davis, on the other hand, embodies the sport's traditional core, technical mastery, discipline, and championship pedigree. This fight isn't just about who wins. It's about what wins, viral fame or time-honored skill. Fans are fascinated because it poses a timeless question: can raw power and popularity conquer refined technique and experience? As the bout approaches, the anticipation grows, not only for the punches but for the message the outcome will send about where boxing truly stands in the age of fame, money, and media.
Left hand down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you can even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5-0. He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Kisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves, still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral, and both these guys are going to make a shit.
Promoter Nakisa Bidarian added another layer of intrigue by confirming that both fighters will compete using 10-ounce gloves, a detail that instantly fueled heated debate. Typically, heavier fighters use larger gloves to cushion blows and reduce impact. Choosing smaller gloves means prioritizing speed, explosiveness, and precision over protection. Given Jake's size advantage, this rule seems to level the playing field, making the exchanges faster and far more dangerous. Every punch will carry more sting, more potential to change the course of the fight in an instant. Bidarian emphasized that the rule set was designed carefully to ensure balance, to make the fight thrilling, yet fair. For fans, it's a recipe for fireworks: 2 power punchers, smaller gloves, and everything on the line.
At 195 max weight.
Okay.
10 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
And 12-ounce gloves. And most of you guys know boxing, right? Most of the fights are with 10-ounce gloves. Fighters spar in 16-ounce gloves. 12-ounce and 10-ounce gives you a little bit more safety, which is the key here, given the size difference, but there's a massive experience difference. We will have 3 world-class judges ringside that the commission has approved to ensure there's a rendered decision for the fans. It will not go on their record, but there will be 3 experienced judges, some of the best in the business, giving their view of who won the fight.
So let me just follow up with this then. The Florida statute says that it means an exhibition means a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts.
You saw the exhibition of Floyd and Logan.
Okay.
So just go with that, and if they weren't trying to hit each other, then tell me they weren't trying to hit.
Even as anticipation for the fight dominates headlines, one familiar name has found his way back into the conversation: Floyd Mayweather. Ever the strategist of attention, Mayweather seems to resurface whenever the spotlight drifts from him. It's a move typical of Money Floyd, always ensuring his presence looms over every major boxing moment. But beyond the noise and speculation, Gervonta Davis remains locked in. He's blocking out distractions, training harder than ever, and focusing solely on the mission ahead. Fans and experts continue to debate, some leaning toward Jake's power and size, others trusting in Tank's precision and experience. But one truth stands above all: when the bell rings, talk ends. Hype fades. And Davis's fists will deliver the only message that matters, that true skill, discipline, and dedication will always speak louder than promotion.
Paul will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. "It'll be an exhibition fight," end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win.
That concludes today's coverage. Stay tuned for more updates as fight week approaches, because if the build-up is this intense, the battle itself promises to be unforgettable.